But yeah, man, it's great to meet you. And I'd like to begin our conversation with 4 years ago, we were trying to figure out this pandemic. Now we've survived it. So I'm wondering, how did you survive it? And how did it change you?
Yeah, we're still going through it. So I noticed that mental health became a major obstacle for everybody. And I started the Good Mood Revolution podcast to infuse positivity to the world. I actually, publishing a book called Good Mood Revolution this December. And it just talks about mental health. It talks about the 8 bad moods that we all experience and then how to get out of each of them and then move into the 8 positive moods. Because what I'm noticing, this is why I'm saying we're still experiencing it. Yeah, we're not wearing masks. We're not seeing the death count on this scrolling fear that we had at that time. But
Yeah.
what I'm experiencing is I can't get people to come outside anymore.
Yeah.
We just had a huge gala. Going Places is a charity event that we just went to Saturday. I couldn't get people to come. I was buying the
Yeah.
tickets,
Uh-huh.
and they're like, nah, Netflix. I got things to do Saturday. I got to sit on my couch and not go spend time with people. And the problem is that that's not a happy choice.
Yeah.
And what I teach is how to be happy. It's the Good Mood Revolution podcast. People come to learn strategies about how to feel good, and we don't feel good when we isolate ourselves. And unfortunately, COVID isolated all of us by force, and many people haven't unisolated.
You're totally right. I remember after it happened, I just moved into a new house in January, and all these people were outside all spring. Everybody's outside making bonfires, walking. No one now. I'm the kind of guy, I've always been outside. I'm outside playing catch with my son before his bus comes in the morning. We're running, everything's happening. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the sedentary life of an American has been here the whole time, and it only kind of maybe peeped out when we had no other choice. But now you're totally it's depressing, man. I mean, I sometimes will drive through a neighborhood and see basketball goals, and I'm like, I've never seen somebody ever shoot a basket on that.
Me and my daughter last night.
Yeah, right.
Shooting baskets. My wife came out. We played pig. She won.
Yeah, there you go.
She can shoot. That man, my wife can shoot, but I don't think it's fair. She shoots with a woman's ball,
Right.
and it's I don't know how much smaller it is, but the hoop doesn't get bigger for me. The hoop
No.
stays the same size, and my ball's a little bit bigger, so I've got to be more accurate to
Or
win.
you get an extra letter. Or
I
no.
should, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
saying.
But so I don't, I mean, in all fairness, she's a better shooter than me, men's ball or women's ball.
There you go.
She won the state of South Carolina free throw competition when she was a child.
Oh wow.
And then she was a starting point guard on Sumter High's basketball team. The girl can shoot.
So you know what you're going up against. So let's get to the heart and soul of what you do as an author and a podcaster. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day, and one of the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I help adults who forgot how to be happy like you find their happiness again.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream to grow up and become?
What's crazy? I just found a paper from fourth grade that said, "What do I want to be when I grow up?" And it said, "I want to be a writer."
Oh, cool, man.
Isn't that insane?
You're
So
living the dream.
I just found it. I just
Yeah.
found this paper and I, of course, my book is coming out in December. It's now we've got a cover and it's all done through editing. And I wrote it for 3 years, through COVID. I just was like working and working and working on like trying to understand how to actually teach people how to be happy. And then things would happen in my life and I'd get all fearful, anxious, hurt, afraid, angry, prideful, all the different things. And I'd be like, how am I going to get out of this? And I
Yeah.
had a purpose. Like I need to figure out how to transcend this so I could teach it to other people. But yeah, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a writer.
So who was a hero? Who was an inspiration for you in your life?
My mom's my biggest inspiration. So she was a single mom from when I was age 5 to 10, and there's 4 kids and no child support. She was a secretary, $25,000 a year, 4 kids,
Wow.
like going to the grocery store, trying to figure out how we're gonna like get enough to eat. And she'd hand me a calculator and say, "We got $25." We got to figure out how to get enough food for the whole week on
Wow.
$25. And every time we put an item in the cart, I had to add it on the calculator to make sure we didn't go over the $25. And and you know what? We made it work.
Wow.
We freaking made it work. She worked super hard. She was really positive. She ended up like taking a leadership class at work, and then like she was reading Seven Habits of Highly Successful People. Just a single mom as a secretary, starting to read about how to become a better leader. She ends up getting promoted. She was the first female director in the history of her whole organization. It was the Road Commission of Oakland County. Broke through a glass ceiling, like just amazing inspiration of a woman that yeah, really kind of taught me that hey, if you put your mind to something and continue to learn, you can do anything.
So besides that influence in your life, what were the other seeds that were planted into you that made you be somebody that's writing this book, that's helping people get to a better place, improving mental health? What were all these seeds that were sown for you?
So I really do attribute it back to my mom. And when I was in high school, they interviewed me for the high school yearbook. I was I was like one of the most likely to succeed people in my class. I scored really high in grades. I was a 4.0 student in high school, and so they're like, Matt, hey, you got this big future ahead of you. You're voted one of the most likely to succeed. What do you want to be when you grow up? And the yearbook says Matt O'Neill wants to be happy. So when I was 18, I knew that what I wanted to do was to be happy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. All I could say is that this has got to be my mom's philosophy, that that was the purpose of life, and that it just stuck with me. And of course, I wanted to achieve and be successful and that kind of thing because I was already doing it with the grades, but I wasn't super happy. It was my dad was a tyrant. He was a really emotionally and verbally abusive, which is why my mom filed for divorce. But anytime, like, it's just like so much abuse for me and my siblings that all of us had a bunch of shame. Like, none of us thought we were good enough. It's probably why I was working so freaking hard in school, like to prove that I was worthwhile, because inside I didn't feel like I was worthwhile. And
Yeah.
so when I was 18, I was still saying, man, I just want to figure out how to be happy. And then, here we are a couple decades later, and I've been studying it. I've read hundreds of books. At this point, I've spent probably $500,000 on just personal and emotional growth, traveled all over the world, meditated with monks, walked on fire, like done all the things to figure out the secret to happiness. And we've put it together, and we're really helping some people do that.
So what, as a writer, what was the first book that you read when you were a kid that was seminal in your development or that you loved or you come back to?
Yeah, I didn't. As a kid, I wasn't a reader.
Okay.
And I read because I had to. And then when I was 25, uh, my boss, David Wertan, handed me this book, Think and Grow Rich. And he's like, read this book. And so at 25, I finally like opened up a book and started to read something. And in that book, he said, your thoughts create your life. And I was like, what? And he's like, everything that's happening is because of how you're thinking. So anything you don't like is because of your thoughts. Anything that you do like is because of your thoughts. If you want to change your life, you have to change your thoughts. And that like just like
Yeah.
massive awakening. Everything changed. That was a pivotal moment where everything changed. And at that moment, I just had to figure out, how do I learn more about this? And so I started to dive into book after book after book about how to think, because I knew it was going to be the pivotal point of all. What I've learned since is that it's not actually our thoughts that create everything. It's our emotions. The thoughts show up to describe what the emotions are already
Yep.
feeling, but the emotions are first. And then the thoughts come in to like to tell us what's going on. So we might feel super angry and enraged at somebody, and then we have all these thoughts and we say, oh, these negative thoughts are the problem. Well, actually, there's no problem. We just have been triggered and we feel violated and we're angry. And so if we want to like get back into positivity in our life, we have to figure out what triggered us and then what our wounds are there, why we got so angry in the first place.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet right now that you find fascinating, who would that be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
I'm gonna meet them like every day. It's crazy. I meet like the most fascinating people. being the host of the Good Mood Revolution podcast, like I continue to have just like conversations with people like you, Joe, just mind blowing, you know, totally enhancing conversations. I don't have like a short list of like this person is going to change my life. I'm just
Yeah.
so open that there are people that are going to come into my life in the next year. They're going to teach me things I didn't know before.
That's the beauty of doing this is that there's always something unexpected. There's always something that you just don't know that's waiting around the corner, you know. And that's the thing too, I think about podcasting is I'm sure you can attest to. It's like it's a good modern version of therapy. It's a way for all of us to realize that we're much more alike. We're all going towards the same things. I mean, because in the regular media, they really, I mean, it bleeds, it leads. They really want to make everything a little bit more dire than it is, you know.
Of
So,
course.
yeah.
Of course. That's their job. They know that, hey, the mindset of 80% of the population is suffering and negativity.
Yeah.
So we'll just go ahead and twist the fear and twist the negativity, and they'll be so hooked because that's how they feel inside. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
on podcasts, we don't have to feed that at all. I mean, it's a good mood revolution. Let's
Yeah.
freaking feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you this. What is it that gets you out of bed every day to do the work that you do, to help people, to create your podcast, to write? What are all of these motivators for you?
Mm. Yeah, Simon Sinek had that start with why, and I was always like big on, hey, what's my why? What's this driving force? It's just growth. So I've Tony Robbins said that happiness equals growth and growth equals happiness. I truly believe that we are designed to continue to evolve and grow, and that as we do, we feel freaking amazing. I think God is rewarding us with absolute enjoyment as we continue to evolve and grow. This could be in our marriage. I'm married to my incredible wife, Katie. My marriage needs to continue to grow. You know, like how do you make your marriage continue to grow? Well, you set goals that my marriage is going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to become a better husband. We're going to have a deeper connection. We're going to have more friendship. We're going to spend more time together, have more date nights. As my marriage flourishes, guess what? I'm super happy with my marriage. And so what gets me out of bed is how am I going to continue to grow and evolve? I got to see John Maxwell talk, and he told a story of his dad who was 95 when he spoke. And he said, my dad was going to a conference, like, you know, like one of these Tony Robbins type conferences. I don't know who he was seeing. And he's like, Dad, you're 95. Like, why are you flying to another town to go to this conference and learn? And he said, Son, I'm going to learn until I die, and I'm not going to confuse the two. And I'm like, dude, that's who I want to be. I want
Yeah.
to be 95
Yep.
saying, I'm not done learning and growing yet,
That's it.
because that's just how I want to be.
So what's been one of the best fan letters or responses you've gotten from your podcast?
You've changed my children's destiny. So I love to hear from parents who say, I love this show and it is so uplifting that I want it to help my children. And so on the way to school, I'll play the Good Mood Revolution because I want my kids exposed to your positivity. This is like tremendous ripples. You know, what you do, Joe, like you're on this show, you're like changing destiny. One little drop in a pond and the ripples are forever. You know,
Sure.
you improve the moods of one person. And so when I hear that I'm changing children's lives, I'm like, all right, well then that is changing their children's lives and their children's lives and their
Yep.
children's lives, and it's really infinite.
Yeah, it just sends it out. So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, you ran into the 18-year-old version of you, and you could give that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you impart on your young version? And would that version of you listen? Yeah,
Yeah, no, he was so arrogant. But what I would do is I'd give him a big hug and I'd say, I'm so proud of you.
yeah,
And, you know, just thinking that way kind of gets me emotional and teared up because that's all when I was 18, all I wanted to hear. And I wasn't getting it from my dad, and I wasn't getting it from the world. And I felt like I needed to continue to prove something. And so I don't need to give that kid any advice. He already knew everything.
yeah.
I just need to tell him that he's doing a good job.
So, of all of the things that you've done in your life and evolved into, what are you the proudest of?
Mm, I don't know. I don't know. I think that, you know, my number one and number two life priorities are um, celebrating my 60th anniversary with Katie. And so I'm extremely proud of our relationship and where it's going, and continuing to put her as somebody that means so much to me. And, you know, one of my other life, and this is it. So my number one life priority is relationships. And I'm really hyper focused on pouring into friendships and just pouring into people in my life that mean a lot. And I guess I'd say that I'm proud of myself for kind of like waking up to that idea. A while back, it was, hey, how much can I achieve? And then if you're lucky, like you find out once you achieve, and you achieve a bunch of money or wealth or power or status or whatever, like my face was all over the billboards everywhere in Charleston, South Carolina. I was a little celebrity in this town. You find out that none of that really makes you happy. It's just the booby prize. If you're lucky, you wake up and realize success, money, all that stuff is fine. You can go on nice vacations. That's great. But it was never the prize. The real prize was the people who were with you all along. They were already there.
Yeah.
And so really proud of knowing that relationships are what matter.
So we get off this Zoom call, a time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can go back in time and see one event in human history, or you can go into the future and see what's going on. Where are you going to go?
I'm staying right here.
Okay.
I'm so freaking excited with what's happening in the present. You know, it's interesting. There are hypnotherapists that can hypnotize you into past life regression. Like this is a whole thing. And I've read a bunch of books on it, and it's extremely fascinating. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do it. I just don't.
Right.
I don't want to know who I was or what happened or what I've lived. That, you know, that might change what I think about today, but I'm just so freaking excited about where I am at this exact moment and what I can do at this exact moment. I also don't want to go see the future.
Yeah.
I don't want to go see what happens.
Right.
Yeah, challenges are going to happen. People are going to die. I'm going to get sick. Like people I love aren't going to be here. I don't want to go see what happens. I just want to let it unfold as it happens, and then do the best I can to accept all of it as it comes.
So, Matt, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, all of your listeners, everyone around you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Mm. Man, Joe, you've got these questions dialed in, brother.
We're doing the best we can.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good answer, what you just said. I'm somebody that's doing the best I can.
I like it. So if anyone wants to listen to your podcast, they want to pre-order the book, get your book, any of the good business, and reach out and contact you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, plug into the podcast. Just find Good Mood Revolution anywhere you listen to podcasts, and it's a really good spot to get yourself feeling super, super happy. You're gonna learn from the best experts in the world about how to enhance your happiness, which at the end of the day, it's all that really matters.
Yeah. Matt, this has been wonderful, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time. Best of luck with the next game of pig. Maybe.
Hey, man.